minutes there, as you do.
Righty, welcome everyone. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, everybody. Hello. Great to see so many of you with your cameras on as well. Lovely to see your faces. No pressure, though, of course.
We'll just wait a couple of minutes to get started to let the last few people join in. And yeah, we'll kick off at about 12:03.
Cool, thanks, Isaac. Yeah, cool. Yeah, a few more coming in there. Oh, it's so good. Oh, look at this. So good to have everybody here. Oh, welcome, welcome. A few more people joining. That's great. Oh.
Awesome. So that's slowed up now. So yeah, if you want to take us away, Ruby, I think that everyone else will dribble in.
Hi everybody. We might get started now. I'm Ruby and I'm with Isaac today. We're both sale consultants from Fresh by Design, and today we're partnering up with Denise from Aquaculture Learning Lab. She's going to run through her presentation on micro learning for aquaculture. And at the end, Isaac's going to run through a Q&A session with everyone. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll run through them at the end. Over to you, Denise.
Hi, everybody, and thank you so much to Ruby and Isaac for having me here and introducing me this morning. It is so wonderful to have so many of you here. It's been a fantastic response for this, and I'm so excited to talk to you all today. So one of the first things, I'm just going to try and see if we can just hear from you guys as well. So I'm just popping a little question there to see where you are joining us from today. So if you're happy to just put that in, that would be great. And then we can kind of see where everybody is. But yeah, and then we'll get straight into it. Oh, fantastic. Oh, great to see a few internationals. Hi, hello, Thailand. Hello, Canada. So I'm in New Zealand, and so is Isaac, and Ruby is in Australia as well. So we got a bit of a mix. But yeah, great to see guys. Thanks so much. So just starting us off, in aquaculture, we know that small daily decisions can have big biological and financial consequences. So whether that's things like feed intake and how we manage things like feeding, even things like water quality and how that is sort of managed and looked after, the way that we look after equipment and gear, and the way that we kind of regularly maintain that, and the kind of timing of all of those types of things as well. So when decisions are made consistently, operations tend to run smoothly, and when they aren't, we know that variability can potentially become costly. So aquaculture operations are rarely shaped by one big event, and more often outcomes are influenced by small inconsistencies over time. And it's those small things that we really want to kind of capture. So that's things like whether checks are completed or whether they're missed, whether adjustments are made or whether they're delayed, or whether procedures are followed or kind of interpreted differently. And I don't know about you guys, but for things like inductions and stuff like that, totally depending on who runs it, often means that you can have a totally different response to it. So this is where training matters and why training matters so much. And this is really why companies all around the world are now really starting to really invest in training so much more. So there's a big study that came out, a global study last year, and some of the results from that were really surprising. So what we were seeing is that organizations with strong training programs generated a whopping 218% of income per employee than companies that didn't. We're seeing organizations that invest in training have 24% higher profit margins, and 94% of employees say that they'd stay longer with an employer that invests in their growth through training. So training really can be so powerful. So clear training tends to lead to predictable outcomes, which is what we kind of expect, or predictable operations. And poor training can lead to that costly variability. And I guess what I'm here to talk to you about is how effective training doesn't have to be expensive, it doesn't have to be time consuming, and it doesn't have to be disruptive to your operations. So this is where we're seeing this global shift to micro training. And micro training is really changing the way that people are training in businesses all around the world. And this is kind of why we're trying to bring it to aquaculture as well. So we're seeing that there's an up to 50% improvement on the job performance when people use micro training versus traditional kind of training techniques. We see better knowledge retention and recall when material is delivered in small chunks. And I think we can all relate to that. We all learn in that kind of perfect, like, first 20-minute window. So, those small chunks are really important. So learner satisfaction is consistently high when lessons are really relevant to those kind of daily work tasks. And it's easier and cheaper to update than that kind of traditional long form of training. So why does it work? It's the why. The why is so important in aquaculture. And I see this from years and years worth of training, is that when people really understand why what they're doing is really important, not just the how, you get much, much better buy-in. So if it's just a piece of equipment that you're wanting somebody to run some regular maintenance on, actually understanding why that piece of equipment is critical in the whole picture is really important. And if they don't have buy-in there, you then talk about why the whole picture is important. And if you have to go there, get into why aquaculture as a whole industry is so important for the world's future. That why is going to really help to keep people engaged and keep people invested in your business and the industry as a whole. We know staff are often time poor, and it's so wonderful to have so many of you here, because I know your days are full to the brim. And so we really want to try and recognize that constraint, but work with it as much as we can. So really making use of small chunks of time. We love micro training because it can be applied immediately to a task. And this has happened to me so many times through my life and training technicians and working with people in aquaculture. Quite often, I want to be able to talk about the how to do something, but I haven't had the why before. So the classic might be getting one of my technicians to sort out our protein skimmer and give it a really good clean and a bit of a service. But they're like, oh, I don't really want to do that job. I don't really care. And they really need to understand why that protein skimmer is so critical in the system that we have to make sure that they're going to do a good job of cleaning it and looking after it. So we want to reduce that variation in key tasks so that everybody has the same information. I was with an organization just the other day, and they were saying that one of the key problems they have is Chinese whispers. And it's classic, you ask one of the technicians to train another new person, and they're essentially training the good and the bad as they go through. So micro training is easy to access, and it's affordable, and it's easy to refresh. So we're really starting to move away from this kind of one-off workshops written manuals, training, using SOP documents. SOPs are amazing, don't get me wrong, they're really critical, but using them for training is not what their purpose was there for, really. Trying to get everyone in a room at the same time, that is so difficult for so many aquaculture businesses, and trying to even find a room for many of you when you're out on the water is really difficult. So we're starting to move towards using short videos, mobile-friendly learning, getting that flexibility, and trying to use really engaging types of content. So that comes from things like using games and really great visuals. And visuals are so important. You know, I think about me, I used to stand in front of like sometimes like 100 students in a lecture theatre, but actually the visual side of things and where you take students as part of their learning experience is really important. So yeah, using those videos. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experiences now. And just while I do that, I've got a little poll for you here. Maybe while I'm kind of ranting on about my experiences, you guys can jump on and do this poll at the same time. So I've been involved in aquaculture for about the last 20 years or so. And I have worked with species, so many different species all the way around the world. I've worked with stuff from microalgae right through to larger kind of pelagics like kind of kingfish and sort of Seriola species. Other pictures remind me as well, I've worked quite a lot with shrimp and crustaceans too. So I've also worked in all sorts of types of systems, from flow through to things like RAS. I've built RAS systems myself as well, and I've worked offshore. And so feel like I've seen a real good variety, and the training side of things is a tricky one across the board in aquaculture. And I once started working for an organization, and I'm not going to name names, and this is classic. It's not an unusual thing. And of course, like the first week I was there, I got shown around by the manager. I kind of got a bit of an introduction to what I was doing. And then I was kind of passed on to one of the other technicians to kind of learn from them as I went, which I think is a pretty standard practice. At this stage, I had a degree, had a master's degree in aquaculture and quite a bit of experience in aquaculture. So you'd think that I was pretty well trained up. But the reality is that I was learning on the job as I went. And because I wasn't being trained as such, I made a lot of mistakes. And so I kind of, like, a classic example to me was that so I was working in a kind of semi-flow through system with finfish, and I needed to go and backwash the sand filters as part of my role. In my previous job, I hadn't dealt with sand filters. So I just went and I was like, oh, set it to backwash, you know, counted to 5, turned it back off again and carried on. And I must have made hundreds of these mistakes on the regular in that job and other jobs as well, because I didn't realize that you really need to backwash a sand filter for quite a long time. I didn't really understand how it worked inside a sand filter, like what was happening and what were the consequences of my actions. And if I had had a like 20-minute course or something really small that I could have just jumped on right in those early days, I would have cared and loved that sand filter much more than I did when I was there. And I think that's the reality, and that understanding of the gear that you have and what it does and the roles that it plays is super, super important. And I can tell you and think of 100 other examples of all the things that I've done wrong over the years. But what we really want to make sure is that those mistakes that we've made don't get passed on and carried on by new people as they come in, because it's really hard to get people to admit that they're doing things wrong, or even know that they're doing things wrong themselves. So, so why does this matter for the whole business? So really, these small things can lower operating costs. They can increase the life of your assets, and they can allow for things like faster onboarding. I can imagine, I have been through it, and I have also onboarded people badly myself. You know, it is when people come through that door right at the start, it is so important to make sure they're really well looked after and supported. And it doesn't need to be something that takes days or weeks. It can be done in small little chunks as well. So we want to improve staff confidence. You know what it's like as you start learning something new, especially if you kind of enjoyed learning about it. You want to share it and you feel really good about the job that you're doing. We want to reduce downtime if we can and use that time really effectively and get better staff retention. I don't know what it's like overseas, but in New Zealand, staff retention in aquaculture is a real problem. So here's a few quick tips and a few ideas for things that you can do in your businesses. So training works best when it fits into the working day. I'm not going to do a raise your hands, but if you've ever had to do training courses on the weekend in your own personal time, that's not really fair. So it's really important to try and fit it in the working day. Film and record just using phones. It doesn't have to be like production quality, but use those phones and those tools in your pockets to help capture stuff, especially those less infrequent jobs that maybe only happen once a year. Try and recognize those people in your teams who are natural teachers. So your manager may feel like they are a natural teacher. Not everybody is. And so it's really good to try and like really find those people that people will listen to and learn from. Identify key processes and break them down into small chunks. Think about it like little Lego blocks that you build up into something else. And those small chunks are really important. And it may be that you just do a small chunk, for example, at the beginning of a weekly meeting or something like that, even if it's 5 minutes. Make micro training commonplace. So it's really good if you can make that training idea part of your culture and set really realistic goals. It can be part of your KPIs. You can say things like maybe just one short course a month, a half-hour course a month, or over the year, try and do 2 or something like that. Just try and work with people. And obviously you'll know the people that need it. You know, if you're a manager, you should know the people that need it best. Incentivize people and keep track and reward those that are doing well. So if you can see that someone is actually really starting to enjoy learning and doing more, then support them, help pay for their courses and try and get them through. You know, we really want people to kind of start learning something, enjoy it, and keep going. Learning doesn't have to be a real painful experience. I know for so many in our traditional education systems, it has been. So we really want to kind of start trying to change that as much as possible. And we don't want, I don't know, if you start talking to your teams about training, we don't want their eyes to roll in the back of their heads. We want them to be excited about it. So try and incorporate that why. That why is just so important. Okay, so I guess this is where my stuff comes in and the Aquaculture Learning Lab. So here's just a bit of a scroll through of our website. But basically, this is a bit of a breakdown of what we can offer. So we can offer courses on our website that are free. So we do some courses that are free, but the prices range up to about $150 for a course. And the timings of those courses are around 30 minutes, anywhere from 30 minutes to about 4 hours long. But we also do bespoke training for industry. So, you know, I was just saying before, get your phones out and start doing a bit of filming. We can actually use that footage and put it together and make a little training video for you if you want it. It costs a few $100s. It's not super expensive. And it's a way to make sure that you've got those resources for your teams. And we can also make interactive videos as well, where you have to answer questions as you go. We also make full courses that are bespoke made for organizations. So we can make them just for you or in partnership with you. And I'll show you a partnership one in just a sec. We also make tailored training hubs. So this is basically if your organization is taking training quite seriously, at a click of a button out of your own system, we can take you into a fully branded, tailored training space for your organization, where you can hold all your courses, your certificates, all of your where your students have kind of gone through and check in on how everybody's going. And we can manage that for you as well with like weekly or monthly updates. And we even do full education programs, and they're all based on micro-learning. So all about this sort of small Lego blocks, like I was talking about, building into bigger things. And currently we're in discussions for those in Germany, in West Africa, and in New Zealand as well. So we're really starting to see that kind of thirst for people to learn about aquaculture at all different levels in schools and stuff as well. So what does it all look like? So here's a bit of an example for you. So this course is around 30 to 90 minutes. This is a partnership course we did with Kaiser, and this is due to launch shortly. So we always rely on scientific information and experts. So here we have Matt and Joannie. They have come to talk to us and kind of be a part of this course, which is all about the use of compressed air in aquaculture. We use ebooks and animations, and everything's audio as well. So you can listen to it instead of reading. We have a bunch of different types of games that we can put into courses as well. And so we try and sort of break everything up into about 2-minute to 5-minute slots. We rely on visuals a lot. Visual learning is so important. And we like to take people on trips around the world to sort of see what's happening in the aquaculture industry globally as well. So this is some footage from Scotland. Yeah, one of the other things we do is those interactive videos that we're just talking about. So here's an example. So where students answer a question as part of watching a video, and it kind of has different branching scenarios depending on their answers. And all of our courses are certified at the end. So they get a certification to say that they've done the course and how they managed to do through the course as well. Woo! There we go, whistle stop tour through there. If you want to see more of that stuff, you can jump on our website for it. So here we go, final thoughts here. Your greatest asset isn't your stock, and it's not your equipment, it's your people. And most aquaculture businesses don't lack knowledge, they lack simple ways to share that knowledge before it's lost. Okay, so get in touch with us if you think that we can help. I'm always keen to talk about training, whether it's free training right up to more expensive stuff. But yeah, just super passionate about people learning. So if there's anything I can do, please feel free to get in touch. Or you can just jump on the website there. But basically, yeah, a big thank you to Lachlan from Fresh by Design, who originally set this up, and of course to Isaac and Ruby for having me here with you all today. Yeah, I hope that you have learned something new, and yeah, hopefully that was yeah, a kind of maybe a slightly new way of looking at things. And so, yeah, I think we're open for a few questions. So we'd love to hear from you. If you've got any questions, feel free to write them in the chat, or however you like to do it. Ruby, I don't know what's best.
Yep. Yeah. If anyone's got any questions, yeah, feel free to just turn on your mic or video. I've probably got a first one to just kick us off. Would be around how your courses would tie into a qualification. Is that recognised across New Zealand and Australia at the moment, or how does that work?
Cool, thanks, Isaac. Yeah, so qualifications are a very interesting question and a really interesting part of this. So I've worked with aquaculture qualifications for like the last 10 years, and it's complicated, right? So Australia has a different system, New Zealand has this different system, every country has a different system, and those systems are often slow to change and slow to embrace new ways of doing things. So at the moment, the shortest course that you can do in aquaculture in New Zealand currently is around a 6-month long course for a certificate. And that's kind of in person, right? So it is a huge commitment for people to learn, and the qualification system is just not there yet with the micro way of doing things. We're trying to get it to change, and we're working with the education authorities here in New Zealand to see what that looks like. But what is really interesting, and it'd be really interesting to hear from you guys as well, is this concept of endorsement for micro training. So, and this is something that we're working on. So if you say, for example, saw one of those certificates that came out and it was endorsed by someone that you really highly regarded in that space. So let's say recirculating aquaculture systems course, our RAS introduction. If on that certificate it said endorsed by Fresh by Design, you might look at that and go, okay, I respect that because I know Fresh by Design really know their stuff. Or for example, like if it was the offshore aquaculture, it might be endorsed by Innovasea or something like that, or even the World Aquaculture Society or things like that. Those endorsements, do they hold as much weight? They can hold a lot of weight, so that it can be something that is recognized more easily internationally as well. Because a short qualification from New Zealand may mean a lot to someone in New Zealand, but what about someone in the States? So we're sort of starting to look at how we can make those qualifications mean the most that they can mean, and not just pop it in a box in New Zealand. Sorry, long answer.
Yep. No, that makes sense. We've got another question from Lucas. I don't know if you can see that one in the chat, but he says you are based in New Zealand. Most aquaculture is in mainland Asia. Curious if you've done any courses in the major aquaculture markets in Asia.
Hi, Lucas. Not yet. So we are still really new at the Aquaculture Learning Lab. We've just been going about a year now. And what we're really looking for is, any information from anyone about what are some key courses that need to come out next. I have worked in the Philippines myself on seaweed, and I've worked in Thailand on shrimp previously as well. So I have a few connections in Asia, but we're all about connecting and branching out. So if there's anything that you think that we can do or should be doing, and you want to kind of accelerate it to the top of the list of the courses that we're developing, then we'd love to hear about it.
Any other questions, anyone?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can see, Lucas, that you put something about using YouTube. Absolutely. Like, I don't know how many of you guys rely on using YouTube for DIY jobs and things like that. Okay.
Yep. Carl, do you want to go next?
Hey, Denise, how's it going? Bible here. We've been up a couple of times before. It seems like the lab's really picking up some depth in terms of its, the short courses it offers. For someone who picks up a short course, how long is that material available to them to sort of go back and refresh themselves with it?
Okay, that's a great question. So at the moment, we've got it set to 2 years. And the reason for that is that we have a flag on our courses that after 2 years, they need to be updated. because things are moving so fast in the aquaculture space. We really want to make sure that all of the content and everything that we're delivering is as up to date as we possibly can have it. And then that will depend on how much is updated. So if, for example, it's just a small update, then that access will remain open. And then if it's a larger update, we'll contact any students that were on that previously and give them a really great discount for anything going forward. Thanks, Scott.
Good question. Yeah, we got one more in the chat from Will, and that's how do you tailor courses to overcome language barriers?
Hi, Will. Thanks for the question. Yeah, this is a really interesting space at the moment because we are just about to start working on this project in Germany. And at the moment, our courses are all in English, but it is just amazing what AI can do. And so any of the stuff that in a carefully managed way. So I think just a few weeks ago, I was watching myself speak in German, which was really bizarre. But it's, yeah, there's a lot of change in this space. So we're kind of hoping over the next probably year or so that we'll be able to start offering courses in different languages or with translations as we go. So thanks.
And then, yeah, there was just a comment there from Lucas about a suggested course. And he's just asked another question. What is the scope of these micro courses? I could see utility in add-ons to key events, like for seminars and workshops.
Absolutely. Yeah, Lucas, the scope of this is amazing. Like as soon as we start breaking down training and learning into these really small chunks, it means we can start putting them anywhere. So at the end of last year, I was involved in a seaweed workshop to showcase aquaculture to careers advisors and for schools and for them to sort of realize how accessible aquaculture can be. And, you know, being able to kind of add this stuff in as well and have it interactive, even having everyone working together on it in a room, even though they're all on their phones, is still a really lovely way to do it. So absolutely, it's something that we see being used in lots of different ways. Yes, and preparation prior to a seminar or a workshop is bang on. Yeah, one of the things that I'm really, really passionate about, hands-on learning, always have been. That's been the way I love the most. But the reality is we're just not getting to enough people with information and knowledge about aquaculture using that method. So the best way that I see it is that combination of learning the theoretical and then bringing the practical to the table. So that practical might be in a seminar or a workshop, but you kind of preload it with a course before people arrive. Yes, fantastic. Yeah, cool. Thanks, Lucas. Some really awesome information in there. Thank you.
Awesome. Any more questions, guys? If not,
I have a question.
Yep.
I was just wondering how long your courses take to complete. You mentioned that like traditional courses can take minimum of 6 months, whereas yours with micro training, is that a bit shorter?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, we have courses that you can jump on and do on our website that are 30 minutes long. We're just about to develop some courses or some training videos and training material that is 5 minutes to 15 minutes long as well. So we really, I mean, we haven't quite got down into doing things in a minute, but we're not far off at the moment. So we're really trying to, again, use those small chunks of time. And then the nice thing with this is that, you know, we can build full qualifications out of 30-minute pieces or hour-long pieces, and they can still build up to something much better or much bigger. And so, yeah, so it's a variety. So you can jump on at the moment and just do a 30-minute one. And we have got a 4-hour one in there where I mainly just got too excited talking about why aquaculture was really important. But there's a 30-minute version as well of that one. Yeah. And then again, if you want to build stuff for your organization, we can make it a different, as long or short as you like. So yeah, thanks, Ruby.
Awesome. And we got another one from Lucas in there. How can potential clients prepare materials for you to create micro courses?
Oh, yeah, that's fantastic. And that really helps to bring down the cost of any development. So the way that we price up any development for companies is related to the resources that we get from there to build it. So if you've got resources available already in your organization, then we can use it. So like I said, whether that's even just filming on a phone, or it might be SOPs. And again, we'll be, always being careful for any IP, or it might be sort of manuals or training for certain certifications. We can use all that material to help build it and bring it together. So yes, sorry, yeah, Lucas, was that Lucas as well? Yeah. So I see the value of these types of courses, but again, Aquaculture Learning Lab is New Zealand, curious about the cultural language experience translates. Yes, Lucas, it's an ongoing working model at the moment. And I guess my hope is as we already have quite an extensive international reach. But what we're really hoping for is being able to work with experts in sort of countries of origin or countries where we're sort of seeing that demand and that need, to help put these courses together, because those people that we bring in as part of the experts who tell their stories are, that's one of the best ways to learn, from people like that. So yeah, we're working on it, and I do think that this is a space where AI done right can help to keep the cost down, as well as get those translations going.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for that, Denise. So we'll wrap that up, just as it doesn't look like there's any more questions coming through. But yeah, thank you so much for that. Oh, sorry, we just got one more from Lucas, as I said that.
Hi, Lucas. Yeah, so I guess the way that we've been pricing up some of our translations for some of the development that we're doing, for example, on this project in Germany, is we look at what the client is is looking for in terms of translation. So, for example, to make it cheaper, we can just do translation that is subtitled in the bottom of the video. But we do recognize that a lot of people who are training or learning in some of these kind of remote areas, their literacy is not fantastic. And so that's where having that kind of spoken element is important. So then the kind of next cost level up there is using AI to basically get me essentially to speak in a different language. And of course that comes in with, it can be really tricky. Yeah. And it needs a lot of checking. And of course that's that kind of next layer. And then the next layer up from there is really getting a translator or getting someone who, from the country of origin, that is happy to be filmed, and we can help provide and coach to make sure that all the training elements of it are pulled together correctly. So yeah, definitely translations is a tricky thing. So yeah, so everything that we would do for translation is always checked with real people. So yeah, great questions. Thanks.
Yeah, some great questions there, Lucas. Yeah, well, if you don't have any more, then yeah, we'll wrap that up. But yeah, again, thank you so much, Denise, and thank you everyone for jumping on. I think was quite valuable for a lot of people here, and given a few people a lot to think about in terms of their training regime. So we'll wrap that up with that. But yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks everybody. It's wonderful to see you guys and have you here. And hopefully we'll see you over the Aquaculture Learning Lab at some stage, or yeah, feel free to get in touch. And yeah, thanks again, Isaac and Ruby. You guys are the best. Cool.
Thanks, Denise.
All right.
Cheers.
Thanks. Okay, bye.